Today, we're digging into the story of a civilization that had it all. We're talking unmatched power, incredible wealth, cities that touched the sky, a people who had everything, and then, in an instant, had nothing.
You know, this whole story really kicks off with a massive mystery. Hidden deep beneath the sands of one of the most desolate deserts in the world is the story of a people who truly believed they were invincible. So you've got to ask, what could possibly happen to a civilization that seems so completely untouchable?
All right, so who exactly were these people? To really get why they fell, you first have to understand just how high they climbed. Because look, we're not talking about just any old ancient kingdom here. According to the stories, they were something else entirely, a people like no other.
Okay, so picture this. We're going way back to around 2000 BC. The people of Ad were basically the superpower of their time. The stories describe them as, well, giants, just these incredibly tall, physically powerful people. And their civilization, wow, it was stunningly advanced, famous for its magnificent, towering buildings and literally every luxury you could possibly imagine. They had it all.
And you know, the ancient texts about them really hammer this point home. There's this one line that says it all: a people created like no other in the lands. Let that sink in for a second. This wasn't just about being powerful. The story is telling us they were completely unique, a one-of-a-kind creation. They were the gold standard, and nobody else even came close.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. You might be thinking, okay, great story, but it's just a myth, right? Well, maybe not. Their capital was this legendary city called Iram of the Pillars, and for centuries, people thought it was a fairy tale, sort of an Atlantis of the sands. But then, get this, in 1984, that all changed. Using satellite imagery, archaeologists actually found the ruins of a lost city in Oman, and they believe it's the one. It's this incredible, tangible link between an ancient story and our modern world.
All this immense power and this incredible pride, it was all kind of personified in one man, their king. And let me tell you, this guy's ambition was just off the charts. So much so that he decided he was going to build his own personal paradise, right here on ours.
Yeah, this is the great folly of King Shaddad. After hearing these incredible descriptions of a heavenly paradise, he just became obsessed. He basically said, I can do that, and declared he was going to build his own version. For 300 years, 300, his people labored to create this city of unimaginable beauty. But here's the ultimate ironic twist. As he's riding up to the gates, ready to finally enter his masterpiece, he's struck down. He died right there on the spot and never even got to set one foot inside the paradise he built just to defy the heavens. And you know, this level of pride, it wasn't just the king. Nope, it had seeped into the very fabric of their whole society. And that, right there, is what set the stage for a really dramatic confrontation.
So what was their big transgression? According to the narrative, it was idolatry. Despite all the amazing blessings they had, they supposedly became the first civilization after the Great Flood to just forget where their power came from. Instead, they started worshiping idols, statues that they'd made with their own two hands.
So a prophet from their own people, a man named Hud, came to them with a really simple message. Hey, be grateful for all these blessings and worship the one true God. And their response? They called him a fool and a liar. When he tried to remind them of just how special and gifted they were, their pride just boiled over. They actually arrogantly asked, who is mightier than us in strength? In their minds, they were just completely untouchable.
Well, that belief, that feeling of being completely invincible, was about to be put to the ultimate test. The warnings have been ignored, and the consequences, they started to unfold in a slow, pretty terrifying way.
The punishment didn't come like a lightning strike. It started quietly with a drought. For 3 long years, the skies were just empty. The very land that had given them all their wealth began to wither and die, turning their lush paradise into a barren wasteland.
After 3 years of suffering, can you just imagine their relief when they finally saw it? A massive, dark cloud gathering on the horizon. For a people so desperate for water, this wasn't just a cloud. It was salvation. They must have thought their prayers to their idols had finally been answered.
And you can just hear them shouting with joy, "This is a cloud that will bring us rain." They celebrated, they thought their troubles were finally over. It was this moment of pure, absolute relief.
But it was so tragically wrong. They thought they were getting a blessing.
But this is the huge, dramatic twist of the story. That cloud wasn't carrying life-giving rain. It was carrying their destruction. The very thing they celebrated as their salvation was, in reality, the furious, punishing wind they had been warned was coming.
And so we come to the end of their story, a conclusion that serves as a really powerful lesson about what true strength is all about.
This punishment wasn't swift. It was relentless. For 7 nights and 8 continuous days, a terrifying wind just ripped through their lands. This wasn't just a storm. It was an unrelenting force of unimaginable fury that tore apart everything they had ever built.
When it finally subsided, there was nothing left. The towering pillars, the magnificent palaces, the mighty people, all of it, gone, swept away as if they had never even existed. The only survivors were the Prophet Hud and that small band of believers who had actually listened to his warning.
So, what's the big takeaway from this epic story? Well, it's a huge cautionary tale. It's basically saying that all that physical strength and all that material wealth, it's all temporary. And arrogance is a one-way ticket to ruin. The ultimate lesson woven into this whole narrative is that real strength isn't found in big buildings or powerful armies, but in things like humility and faith.
And that leaves us with one final question to think about. The people of Ad measured their strength by their physical might and their amazing cities. But if all of that can be wiped away in an instant, what is the true, enduring measure of a civilization's greatness? That's something to think about. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated.